Understanding the motive behind serial killers could be one of the most daunting tasks for detectives. How about finding them? That's pretty easier, mate. Why on earth do serial killers kill? Why do some even kill animals? Why do serial killers kill elderly people? Well, sit tight and let your detective instincts kick in. Who knows? You just might be a good detective after all. Which serial killer was from a noble background? Which serial killer holds a Guinness World Record? Hey, no tittle-tattle. Stay tuned to find out some mind-bugging facts about serial killers. Algebra? Calculus? Nah, this is nothing like it. Welcome back to Bite Size Life. Today, we dive into some of the world's most renowned serial killers. For some, it remains a mystery why they committed mass murder crimes. But for some, it was anger. And things got pretty rough, and they had to kill a few more people to cover the main kill. Gross. For some, it's the favorite trick in the book, money. For some, it's the oldest motivation ever known to man, revenge.
I will have my revenge!
For others, let's just say violence or an attempt to silence their sexual assault victims. And for some others, attention-seeking or the thrill. Wait, who the hell kills for the thrill? Stay tuned as we run through the world's dangerous serial killers. From charity killers to charm killers. Talking about motives for killing. Did you know that from 1992 till 2006, Alexander Pichushkin killed at least 40 people? But what was his motivation? A competition with a fellow serial killer, the Rostov Ripper, Andrei Chikatilo. But not just that, Pichushkin said his motive was to kill exactly 64 people, which is the number of squares on a chessboard. Chess fans, what do you think about this? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell icon. Let's get down. Number 5. John Wayne Gacy. This serial killer was affectionately known as Pogo the Clown. And ironically, he worked as a clown at charity events and children's hospitals. In fact, aside from being a building contractor, Mr. Pogo was into politics. Did you know Gacy and FLOTUS Rosalind Carter took a picture together at a political function with the Democratic Party in 1978? Well, let's just say it's one of those photos Rosalind wished she never took.
I immediately regret this decision.
So, how and why did he kill dozens of people? Well, Gacy's motive seemed to be sodomy, as he'd been earlier convicted of sodomy in 1968. Pogo was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment but served only 18 months. He would lead his victims in the disguise of teaching them magic tricks. He could handcuff himself and break free cunningly and offer to show the lone victims the same tricks, after which he would refuse to let them go, force them into sexual acts, and torture them to death. Sodomy turned murder. In 1980, Pogo the Clown, not funny. Pogo the Killer was convicted of 33 murders, a national record at the time, and was executed by lethal injection. So, hey, magic trick lovers, let's just say don't follow clowns all alone. Be careful not to be tricked to your own death.
Nope.
Number 4. Ahmad Sarji. Have you ever wanted superpowers so much? Well, when I was a kid, I would intentionally place spiders on my hands hoping that they would sting me and I'd become, Spider-Man. Don't you dare laugh at me. Well, some others take the craze for superpowers to a whole new level. This was the case of Ahmad. Ahmad was a shaman commonly called Dukun in Indonesia. Ahmad recounts that in 1986, his dead father appeared to him in a dream and instructed him to drink the saliva of 70 dead women to become a mystic healer. Oh wait, I thought he was already a mystic healer. Well, technically, yes. This was how Ahmad managed to lure his victims to his home, where he murdered and buried them in a sugarcane field to their waist level. As a shaman, Ahmad would tell the woman that he had powers to make them more beautiful or richer. Well, let's be honest, that's a pretty difficult offer to turn down by a woman, right? Ahmad would also promise them to cast a spell on their partners that would prevent them from having an affair with other women. What an offer! Oh my god, can men just stop cheating?
It's time to stop!
Ahmad was technically lazy to find 70 dead women, and thought killing the women himself would make him very powerful much faster. He was caught at woman number 43 in 1997, and was executed by a firing squad in 2008. So much for superpowers. Number 3. Harold Shipman. Doctors are known as lifesavers, and pretty much heroes. Well, not all heroes wear capes. Let's say some just wear white lab coats. Well, not so much of that was running through Harold's mind when he became known as Dr. Death. Dr. Death, or Angel of Death, would kill mostly elderly women, with his youngest victim a 41-year-old man. On one occasion, Dr. Death killed Kathleen Grundy and willed her 386,000 pounds to himself through a forged will. He also issued her death certificate, falsely citing old age as the cause of her death. Now, we can see why anyone would kill old people. Grundy's suspicious daughter reported the issue to the police, and investigations led to his arrest where he was convicted of killing at least 15 patients under his care, with the numbers reaching up to about 250 patients, 80% of whom were elderly women. Dr. Death was sentenced to life in prison with a whole life order. That technically prevented him from being granted parole or pardon ever again. A day to his 58th birthday, Dr. Death took a dose of his own medicine, hanging himself by his cell bedsheets on the window bars. Of course, this meant that the families of the victims would never know exactly what his motives were. Shipman remains the only British doctor in history to be convicted of killing their patients after taking the Hippocratic Oath. Number 2. Erzsébet Báthory. Wait guys, is there a negative compliment you could use to describe someone who is so ingenious at doing evil? Let us know in the comment section down below. And doff your hat for one of the scariest serial killers to have walked this planet. Wait, did I just say one of? Nah. Erzsébet Báthory actually holds the Guinness World Record for being the most prolific female murderer. Not one, but 2. Yes, she holds 2 Guinness World Records. That is quite the CV for a female serial killer, given that more than 80% of the world's serial killers are men. Erzsébet Báthory was born into the noble family of Bathory of the Gutkeled clan, owners of several lands in the then Kingdom of Hungary. Her full name was Countess Erzsébet Báthory de Esched. Countess began her killings from young girls who were sent to her courts to learn etiquettes. She began abducting her victims and mutilating their body parts. Countess would also bite off body parts of her victims, leading many to believe that she was a vampire. According to official archives, Countess tortured some of her victims with hot tongs and freezing cold water baths. Countess was also reported to have engaged in cannibalism. She was arrested in 1610, and she died 4 years later, shortly after complaining to her bodyguard about her cold hands. Tales surround the life of Countess, and numerous myths remain a huge part of folklore till today. Her story inspired the 2008 award-winning film Bathory and the Franco-German drama film The Countess. In Countess's era, human and artificial intelligence wasn't as sophisticated as they are today, so it's really difficult to ascertain the motives behind the gruesome acts. And finally, to our number 1. But before them, here are a few dishonorable mentions. Pedro Lopez. This international serial killer was convicted of killing about 110 girls across Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. Lopez was released in 1998, but he's again wanted for another murder. To date, very little is known about the whereabouts of a man dubbed the Monster of Andes. Bell Gunnis, the Norwegian immigrant who used marriage proposals and insurance policies to murder at least 14 victims and bury them on a farm. Javed Iqbal, the Pakistani serial killer who murdered about 100 boys and dismembered his victims' bodies. He dissolved them in acid to conceal any possible evidence. Okay, back to our number 1, who is quite unlike it, Ted Bundy. Well, Ted isn't the most likely kind of guy you'd picture as a serial killer. No thanks to Hollywood. Just kidding. Many serial killers have been pictured as ugly, uneducated, and unwitty. Ted was the very opposite of that picture. Born Theodore Robert Cowell, Ted was charismatic and handsome. Let's say he was every lady's dream guy, but eventually became their nightmare. So how did Mr. Charming, a man who was involved in the presidential campaign for Nelson Rockefeller and served as a driver for Arthur Fletcher, turn out to be a serial killer? Well, Ted had sufficient knowledge of law enforcement that he once served as his own attorney. Ted never left a fingerprint at any of his crime scenes and spread the murders over a large geographical area. Ted also avoided firearms as it drew much attention and left ballistic evidence. Simply put, there is no incontrovertible evidence that Ted left on any crime scene.
I'll plead not guilty right now.
With his charm and innocent looks, Ted would walk up to his victims impersonating a public figure, or using the disguise of a disability or injury to approach them, and draw empathy before luring his victims into secluded areas, where he raped and strangled them. How on earth was he able to impersonate people? And why was it so easy for him? Well, police investigators reported that Ted had a chameleon-like ability that made him virtually different in every photo they took of him. Have you ever met a person who looked so innocent or charming that you thought they couldn't hurt a fly? And it turned out they could do worse? Anyway, Ted was apprehended in 1975 while driving a stolen vehicle and recaptured after he tried to escape. Ted's trial became the first murder trial televised on national TV. He did try to delay his execution by providing leads to further murder cases, but it didn't last long. Time and cents were running out. In 1989, Ted was executed by electrocution in an electric chair. Ted's life and his mysterious serial killings have led to numerous books and films about his life, including Netflix and Amazon Prime documentaries about one of the world's most charming, yet dangerous killers of all time. Okay guys, that's it for today. We hope you learned a thing or two from the world's scariest serial killers. We also hope you never meet one though. Please share this video with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And see you later.